Hi there, this is Allison with Let's Go Travel Tips. Today I just have some ideas that I wanted to share with those of you who are first-time cruisers or who are maybe just on your first couple of cruises. I thought back to when I took my first cruise, and here are some things that really stood out to me. First of all, they always tell first-time cruisers to not overpack, but that is really hard because you really don't know what to expect. I remember that my conception of cruising was what I had seen on Love Boat when I was, little, and had watched that show and thought, someday I'm going to cruise. So when the day finally came and I got to go, that is what was in my mind. So I kind of thought that you had to wear a super cute outfit all the time, and that you changed your outfit more than once a day, and that every dinner was, you had to have a dazzling outfit. And so that is what was in my mind, and that's kind of what I packed. And so let me tell you a little bit how it really is. So of course it depends a little bit. Some cruise lines tend to be maybe a little bit dressier than others, but basically often in the morning you'll get up and you can just throw on, your loungewear, something casual, and you go up and get your breakfast, whether it's in the dining room or in the buffet. And then, sometimes you've looked at the itinerary for the day, the schedule, and you see so many things that you want to do that you just get up and put on what you're going to wear all day long, and you're ready to go because you're going to be so busy. And maybe sometimes you end up wearing your loungewear all day long. So just keep that in mind, that you don't just necessarily change your clothes lots every day, and you certainly don't have to have, a fancy outfit for everything you do. You don't change your clothes for one thing and then go to the next. The other misconception I had was that you had to wear something really dressy for every evening, and that is certainly not the way it is, unless, like on Cunard, they do dress for dinner every night on that ship. But otherwise, or I should say on their ships, but otherwise they have formal evenings. Some cruise lines have smart casual, or what do they call them? Some of them are called, it's slipping my mind right now, but they have different, some evenings are a little bit dressier. Now on Princess, you'll get 2 formal nights usually for a 7-day cruise, and on those nights you can wear, like I've gone over in other videos, you can wear like a dressy dress, and the gentleman can wear a suit or a tux, or a lady can wear a pantsuit. But on the other evenings you can wear, and also on the formal night, you can wear whatever you would like. And so often a lot of people will change and put on something a little bit dressier for dinner, but sometimes not, or just change into just a little something different. But like I said, not always. And so just do what you're comfortable with and what will make you enjoy the trip the most. Just wear whatever, if you don't want to get really dressed up any night, you don't need to. And if you would like to wear a beautiful dress or a suit every evening, just do that. So, but just know that you don't have to pack a different dinner outfit for every night of the week. So that'll save you some space. Other than that, you just learn a lot when you go, and I still sometimes overpack, and I'm trying to get better about that. But just be aware that you don't need a million outfits and changing your clothes lots every day. Another really good thing to know about is that when you cruise, it is a really good idea to fly in the day or the evening before your ship embarks. So the very first time we went on a cruise, we were sailing out of Seattle to Alaska, and so we do live in the Western United States, but we went ahead and flew up that morning. And I remember that when our flight got delayed a little bit, I was just really worried. And then when we got to the airport, we were much later in the embarkation process in the day, and so we had to wait a really, really long time for the shuttle buses to take us out to the ship. We had signed up for the Princess Shuttle on that, but we were really late in the day, so there were tons of people in line before us. So it was like a couple of hours wait. And I remember we even checked, and like the line to take a cab to the port was like enormous. And so that wasn't a really good option either, and that was before there was Uber. But if you fly in the day before, then you don't have to worry about a flight being delayed or canceled, anything at all unexpected happen. The same if you have a long drive. You never know if you're going to get a flat tire, your car's going to break down, or just anything unexpected can happen. So if you can, come in the day before. And it also puts you there a little bit earlier if you fly in, so that you can be in the early part of trying to get transportation out to the port. I know it's a little bit easier these days with Uber, but also if you're just planning to take that Princess Shuttle, it just gets you there that much sooner. So keep that in mind. You might want to come in the day before. I would like to add that you don't have to come in, if you have to work the day before and then fly out, that is okay. On our upcoming cruise that we depart on October 16th, we need to work that day, and so our flight doesn't leave until 9:30 at night, and then it gets into Los Angeles at like 10:30 or 11. And so we'll just get there, get right to the hotel, and get to bed. But I just wanted you to know that you don't have to get there really early in the day before or anything like that. Another thing that's really important is you do need to bring some cash on the trip. In our mind, we always think, well, everything on the ship is cashless. We just attach everything to our credit card and it works fine. And that does work really, really nice. But you always need a little bit of cash. Number one, you might need some in the ports, but also you're going to need a little bit of cash maybe because you might want to tip someone extra, and you do pay gratuities. And so if you don't pay anything extra, that's okay. But my husband and I just have the habit that if someone gives extra good service or they go out of their way at all for us, we always give them a tip. And we do that even a little bit more on our last cruise we did, because now that COVID's over, these good people have not had jobs, a lot of them, for the whole pandemic. And they have families to support too. And so we just think it's really a good practice if someone goes out of their way for you or gives really good service, that you're going to need to give them a tip, and cash is what you use. And also you're going to need some cash with you, like when you get to the airport, if anybody helps you with your bags, or like on a shuttle, anybody helps you with your bags, just all kinds of things like that. So don't forget that. And then along with going with that, as far as the gratuities go, just understand that all of the ships will automatically take that gratuity amount. They will add it to the charge for your cabin every day. And so you can prepay your gratuities if you want to. That's just what we always do, because then it's just done and over, just taken care of. But be aware that they are there, and then also be aware that I think it's a good system for how to do it, because then everyone gets to have a gratuity, not just the like the bartender in like the favorite bar or in the most popular bar where more people go, but then everybody gets to have gratuity money. And then also it just kind of helps cover everybody. And so that's why I think it's important, if you want to give extra to somebody, that you do. And so that's just me. That's my opinion. But do take some cash with you, and don't just take 20s, take some 1s and 5s, and break it up a little bit so that you've got what you need. The other thing is what? The muster drill has really changed a lot since COVID came along. They've gotten it now so that you can watch it like in your stateroom TV or in your app, but you still need to do it. And so be aware, as a first-time cruiser, that that's not optional. That is required by maritime law. And so you have to do the muster drill. So don't have everybody on the ship waiting for you and hearing your name over the loudspeaker trying to find where you are, because you have to do that. So just go ahead and do that soon too. That's what we do, and then it's out of our way. And so that's another really good tip. Another thing, don't just sit in your room. I know that it's really cool to have your own stateroom, and it's beautiful, and especially if you get to have a balcony, it is so beautiful there. And yes, spend some time in your room, but also really enjoy the beautiful ship that you're on. Now, when the first day when you get on the ship, if you can go straight to your room, go there and put down like your backpack or whatever it is that you don't want to be parted from, that you take with you onto the ship, and then go get some lunch. And if you can't get in your room, it's okay, just take your bags with you, whatever bag. I always take my little roll-on suitcase with my carry-on, my Vera Bradley bag on top, and my husband always has his backpack, so just take it with you. And the buffet is always open. Often main dining room, at least one main dining room is open for at least part of embarkation day. So go get some nice lunch. You can do that right off. If you've got a drink package, the minute you step on the ship, it works. And so help yourself to a drink and start enjoying your trip right off. And then after you eat, walk around the ship. Take a look at everything so that you know what is there. So that like on your second to the last day, you don't discover that there's a really nice lounge that you wish you would have been going to, or a pool, or a really nice place to, like somewhere with a great view to look out over the ocean, or just whatever it is. just go ahead and look the ship over and walk around so that you know everything that's there, so that you can make sure that you enjoy everything while you're on your trip. You don't want to miss anything. So remember that. Now, another important thing to remember is that when everybody is used that when you go to eat in the buffet, you can go back as many times as you want. You can try as many things as you want. These days, the servers serve you, so you can just say a little bit. That's what I do, a little bit. And if I want to try something, well, that works great. When you are in the main dining room, you can also have whatever you want. If you want 2 appetizers, you can have 2 appetizers, and you don't have to be embarrassed about asking for that. Sometimes, on Princess anyway, like for example with the dessert menu, they have some items that they offer every night, and then they have some things that change every night. And so every once in a while, the things that change every night that they only offer once on every cruise, like 2 absolutely delicious ones end up being on the same night. So go ahead and get them both if you want to. Like, I really like their Baked Alaska. They make this little pistachio thing that has chocolate, this really yummy chocolate on it and pistachio in it. And they just make a lot of really good desserts. And the same with your entree. Every once in a while, there'll be 3 entrees that look just wonderful, and so we will ask the server if he will bring my husband and I each one, and then we will share the one in the put the third one in the middle, and we will share it. And so you can, and if you want to eat the 2 whole entrees yourself, go ahead and ask for it, and it's not a problem. So just a heads up about that. You can have whatever you would like, so don't worry about that. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about excursions. So if you're a first-time cruiser, they have excursions in every port, and they usually have a list of them that you can sign up with the ship. You can either buy them on the website before you go, or you can buy them on the ship when you get there. When you look at that list of excursions, if you see something that really stands out to you that you really, really want to do, I would say definitely book that on the website, because they can sell out. And you don't want to be left not being able to do the thing that you really wanted to do. And so keep that in mind. Another important thing to remember is that when you get to the port, you don't have to be on an excursion to get off the ship in most ports. You can just go ahead and walk off, or ride the tender off if it's a tender port, and then just walk around and see whatever you want to see. Now, before COVID happened, in every port there are always lots of tour guides and everything waiting close to the port there to offer their services. And so you could pick up a tour guide for the day, or to take you wherever you wanted to go, or a taxi to just drive you wherever you wanted to go. And there is still a little bit of that, but there is not near as much as there used to be. And so be aware that if you are going to go on a cruise during these COVID times, that you're going to want to either book a tour with your cruise ship, or you're going to want to book a excursion with TripAdvisor is a good one that comes to my mind. Because on TripAdvisor, there's a lot of different tours offered by different tour companies, but you get all these people who leave feedback, so you can kind of know what kind of a service you're going to get. If you're going to get something that is remarkable, or if you've seen one but they don't have good reviews, you know not to book them. And so that is a really good way to do it right now. The one caveat I have with you is, remember that if you are on a ship excursion, the ship will wait until you get back. And so if your bus gets delayed, or whatever form of transport it is, if you're delayed for any reason with the rest of that tour, then the ship will wait for you. They won't leave without you. But if it's time to go and you're not back, and you're not with one of the ship's excursions, they could leave without you. And so that's I kind of keep that in mind, especially in places that I would worry about being late. The only place that I booked a tour with a separate tour agency, that I can't believe I did it, but it worked out beautifully, was in St. Petersburg, Russia. Now, when you're in Russia, you have to have a Russian visa if you want to get off the ship, if you're not going to be on a Princess excursion, or if you're not going to be with one of their authorized tour guides. And so, and it's quite a process to get a Russian visa. So you need to start in advance if you want to do that, you know, just allow plenty of time. But anyway, we booked with this great lady, and they had a car for us. They picked us up. They showed us all over St. Petersburg, took us to the ballet the first night. And the reason that I did that is because we went to so many more places than we would have been able to go on what was offered on the Princess Excursions. And so I'm trying to decide if I'm going to do that again or not. I probably will, because there is so much to see there, and it just really slows you down being like a bus with so many people. And I think some of the excursions don't even go to the places that we went. So really kind of look at those things. And yeah, kind of keep that in mind though. So if you're a first-time cruiser, like book something probably, or at least be very well versed in where you're going. Look things up. See what there is to see in these places, so that you don't get home and then you're like, oh, I wish I would have gone and seen that. So yeah, pay attention, do some research, and go from there. And then one other thing that I wanted to tell you, and this is really important, make sure that you call your credit card and your companies and your bank. I know with American Express, you don't have to call them, because several years ago I called and said, we're going to wherever, and she said, that's okay, you don't have to call us. And then she was really nice and told us that with the phone number on the back of the card, we can get about any help you might ever need in a foreign country, or in the United States for that matter. But that was really nice. But like if like with Visa or any of the others, and like your bank for your debit card, do call them and let them know that you're going, because if you are usually at home and suddenly charges start showing up, like in Mexico or the Caribbean or, you know, St. Petersburg, Russia, they might flag it because they aren't expecting that from you. So just let them know, so that when you want to get cash out of the ATM, you can. And if you want to use your card, it will go through. So let's see. That is all that I had. I just wanted to tell you these things. These are things that I figured out kind of as we have gone along, and I really think make a big difference in a trip. And so if you've got anything to add to this, put it in the comments below. I would really appreciate that, as well as if you've got any questions or anything that you would like us to try to find out the answer to, or that we might already know, just put that in the comments below too. I hope you've appreciated this video. If you have, will you please consider subscribing to our channel? We are trying really hard to get to 2,000 subscribers, and we would really love to have you in our Let's Go family. I think it's we are already growing, and we have wonderful people here, and I think you would really enjoy it too. Also, if you've learned anything useful, would you please give this video a thumbs up? That also will really help our channel. I'll be talking to you again really soon. You all take really good care. God bless you. Love you. Bye-bye.